name is Tonee Lawson. I'm the founder and executive director of the B Org. And I'm excited to be here on Letters TV today. So when Amber originally asked me to be a part of Letters for this episode on local heroes, I was so moved because I don't consider myself a hero. I truly serve with passion. I feel like running the B Org, or now in year 7 and this being my full-time job, I live in my passion. I don't feel like I'm working. It's no longer a job for me. It is what I wake up every day and I'm excited to do. So our organization primarily focuses on social and emotional learning, STEM enrichment. Myself, I'm a Black woman in STEM, and college and career readiness. And our goal is to really prepare young people for life after high school, whatever that may mean. Whether you go right into the workforce or if you choose to pursue higher education. But far too often, our young people feel like they are not worthy of success. I've literally heard young people say that to me. They feel like they aren't prepared to take on the world. And employers say it all the time. Kids in their first job come to us, they aren't able to communicate, they aren't able to lead teams, they aren't able to work together with other employees. And so we just try our best to make sure that we are preparing people, young people, with critical life skills so that they are successful in life.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Dewitt Doss. Actually born and raised in Niagara Falls, New York. And I tell most people I ended up playing Division I college basketball at Kansas College. Went there in 2000 to 2004. Had an injury early on. Got a red shirt year back. Ended up playing there in 2005. At about 2007, ended up moving down to Baltimore. I became a physical education teacher at Augusta Fell Savage, and kind of transitioned over to Renaissance Academy as well. About 2012, I became probably the youngest athletic director in Baltimore City. At the time at Edmondson, Westside High School. I've been there for the past 9 years, going on 10 years now. Very excited, and just wanted to help give back to the community. I know Edmondson needs some certain things to help get to the next level. Athletically, we won state championships, basketball championships, football championships. However, we're lacking the academic part for athletics to get kids to the next level for us going to college. So when I got to Edmondson, the GPA was a 1.7 GPA for the athletic program overall. So we did, my first year, we actually ended up improving to a 2.7 overall just by having kids reaching out to parents, having weekly progress sheets, make sure coaches are more involved and doing those things. I want to become part of the Local Heroes Project because I feel like I can give something back to the community. You know, at the end of the day, we want to make sure we help kids strive, become better men, young ladies, and then just grow over time. Also, another thing about myself, I help coach AAU basketball with a team called Power Move. My daughter played for that organization. My oldest daughter, she got Division I scholarship 2 years ago to Canisius College as well too. So that was kind of a story within itself. And my youngest daughter, who is now, she'll be 12 next month. She's playing. She's going to be very successful as well too. So just coaching, young ladies, coaching men into different situations, trying to help them get a free education. I tell them it's not all about the sports, it's about giving back and being able to help kids have an opportunity that you never had, or someone give you the information so that you can be successful, whether it's in work, in a white collar situation, blue collar situation, where it's construction, it doesn't matter. We just want to make sure we are giving kids the best possible situations, the options, and things that help them become better leaders of tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Jamaal Johnson, owner and founder of New All Season Incorporated. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm a local guy, 34 years old, father of 3. Also a girl dad. And the reason why I wanted to join the narrative is I believe in giving back to our community.
So the first question is, I would consider you a local hero. You mentor young boys on the field, off the field. So just talk a little bit about that journey and why you decided to do it.
So I'm a coach, a 14-year coach, football. I played since I was 7. Boys and Girls Club, high school, semi-pro. At the end of it, I decided I wanted to get back. So I wanted to get back to the teens, kind of like that age from the 14 to the 18. So just to give them a conversation, a talk, just get them the game that kind of wasn't given to me in a sense, whether it be on the field as well as off the field. I mean, because a lot of stuff as a teenage boy, you go through that. You really don't have people to talk to. You know what I mean? Because it's not easy for a teenage boy to really talk to people. So it's more or less to be, with me being young, I'm more relatable than somebody that might be like 50, 60, 40 some years old. So it's easy for a teenager to talk to me because I'm not too far removed from where they at. So, we kind of have similarities. So just giving them that and, helping them understand, and I can, talk my trash, they talk their trash, and, make it fun.
So I tell a story all the time, and I'll keep it brief today. It's Layla's story. And so Layla is a family friend. She was in middle school and she was struggling with the transition. We know, like, going from elementary to middle, it can really, really be hard on young people. And so I asked Layla, hey Lay, how are you doing? How are things at school? You made any new friends? Have you joined any new clubs? And she kind of just blew me off, just like a regular tween would do. And I said, well, Layla, you wanted to be an actress. Have you considered joining the drama club? And she's, whatever. And then she ended up saying, nobody in Baltimore ever makes it. And at that point, I was literally heartbroken that she was so defeated by the circumstances of the city, just like being in a harsh environment, that she felt like she was not worthy of success. And I know, like, when I was younger, you couldn't tell me, like, if I wanted to be on the moon, I was going to be on the moon, and there was nothing that you could do to stop me. And so for young people today, they don't feel worthy of success. And so that's when I was like, oh no, we have to change that. I have to do something about that. And so that's kind of how the B.Org started.
So I'm a teen tween, and I'm hearing about your organization. Can you just tell me a little bit about what we do on a day-to-day or weekly, monthly basis? Yeah,
so we work with students in grades 2 through 12 in the out of school time space. So anything after school programs. In summertime, we get super, super busy. And then we even have programming on Saturdays for our program called the Girls Empowerment Academy. For our younger learners in grades 2 through 5 in the after school space, they are getting character education, which is developing those social and emotional skills. They're becoming more emotionally aware, more self-aware. We are working with them on how to communicate with their teachers and how to communicate with their peers and their parents. We also do some family engagement trainings and parent trainings, just making sure that people are just really socially aware and able to be their whole self. So that's our after school program. In the summertime, we have a program that's called the Food Playground, where it's probably my favorite program. We collaborate with Black Girls Cook, and we literally teach students or young girls how to cook using STEM. So whatever they do in the lab, with myself and with some of the other enrichment teachers, they replicate in the kitchen, and they're ending up cooking meals, whole meals for their families. So parents love it, kids love it. I love it because I get to throw in some science, and it's a win-win all around. We also have coding programs where we teach students how to code for virtual reality. That program is called Be Virtual. And so we work with students, we teach them C#, C coding language. They learn animation, gamification for virtual reality. And the product that they are actually creating is our social and emotional learning curriculum. So they take our standard lessons, paper and pencil, or group-based lessons, and they transform them into a virtual game, a virtual reality game, which is super, super cool. And at the end of that program, they're able to sit for a industry recognized credential in coding, just to give them some of those valuable workforce development skills. And basically a leg up in the industry once they go to apply for their first jobs. And then our Girls Empowerment Academy focuses on leadership development and self-awareness in middle school girls. And then some of our college and career programs, we're helping students with their college applications and their essays and personal statements. And then we have 2 conferences a year. The one is called Beyond a Dream, and that focuses solely on college readiness and career exploration, helping students and parents make a plan for their child to attend college, prepare them financially, and explore different careers. And then in the fall, we do a program called TechCon, where our students learn to design, build, code, and compete robots and drones in one day, and meet lots of kids from all over the state and all over the region, and working on their leadership skills as they work in teams and sportsmanship, because everybody can't be a winner. So yeah, we have a good time.
Okay, so talk about some of your influences growing up.
Some of my influences growing up, I believe my dad played a major role in it. You know, he always never missed a baseball game, basketball game, or football game. My mom was always there. You know, she played catch with me. You know, we worked out. It was just and gave me a structured background. I couldn't bring in anything lower than the B in the house. If I had a C, I couldn't play for the weekend for a sport. It didn't matter what sport it was, how much the team needed me. However, you know, I had certain coaches talk to my mom when I think we had this championship in when I played basketball. Say, hey, listen, we need your son to play. We'll deal with it in another way. So I had another guy, Eric Fields. He definitely helped me with my growth as a young man. Still talks to this day, and he just coached young kids and helped me get to the best levels possible. Another guy, Sal Constantino, took us around AU tournaments around the country to get our talent showcased so that we can have an opportunity to go to school for free. And I would say one of my high school basketball Coach Pat Monty, all-time winning leader in games in New York State history. I would say 5 state championships, multiple regional championships, and just put us in a situation where he told us nothing was more rewarding than seeing his kids go off to college and being successful men. In the state championship, he gave all the state championships away, which I really doubted because he always talks about those, but just developing young men. And he said he never had any of his own children himself. However, he'll say he had hundreds of kids that are doing well in life that play sports for him throughout high school. But I will say probably one of my biggest mentors when I really started becoming into a man was, I would say, Coach Mike McDonald at Canisius College. And we had some real touching conversations. He helped me develop as I grew older. I would say I walked into his office when I was a 19-year-old freshman. Told him, said, listen, my girlfriend's pregnant. It's some bad news. He said, no, it was great news. He said, when you bring a child into this world, he said, now what you're going to do with that is up to you. He's like, I have 3 children. And, you know, at the end of the day, they're the biggest blessings in his life. And so what he did was he helped me be a father. He didn't throw me away. He said, we're going to get you a dorm or apartment off campus. So my daughter can meet me off campus. My daughter came to every single game. Whether we played in, I told people, in Great Alaskan Shootout, Miami, she was there. My parents were very supportive. And I think my junior year, I remember tearing my ACL. I was going to graduate that year because I had a red shirt year back. He's like, I'm not going to come back and play. I'm like, absolutely. He's like, well, you sure? I was like, at the end of the day, I said, it's not just about basketball, it's about becoming a better man. And if I could stay at school one more year and get my master's degree taken care of for free, that's what I was going to do. So I came back and I made all conference, 13 all conference as a senior, and graduated with a master's degree. It was just a great experience. And like I said, he never let me give up. Again, to this day, he's been very successful as a coach he's at Division II level now. He said the stresses are a whole lot lesser. But he's been definitely impactful in my life and someone I can look to if I got anything I need to talk about. He's always been there for me.
So what qualities do you feel your influences have that you have that you can pour into the youth today?
Definitely discipline. You want to give kids discipline. They need structure. They need love. Because a lot of times kids don't have the same kind of love from their parents. They can come to you, they can talk to you, be open about certain things that are going on in the community, at home. And I tell you, a lot of times we end up feeding kids at school too. We feed them, and we just love on them. You know, sometimes it's tough love, Sometimes sometimes we gotta give them a hug, but for the most part, we just gotta give them whatever we can give them to make sure they are successful in life. Because when kids know that you really care, they'll run through a brick wall for you. When they see you don't care for you, they will stop. They won't push stuff an extra mile or anything like that.
So how do you build trust with the kids that you work with so they feel comfortable talking to you about anything?
So the way to build trust with most kids, just tell them about your background. Tell them where you came from. Tell them how you grew up. Tell them everything isn't perfect, and we all gonna make mistakes as we get older in life. But however, it's what we do after we make the mistakes. How we gonna continue to strive and get better, and just making good decisions to put us in a different mindset to help us grow.
And what do you teach the kids about balance? Balance in sports, academics, home life?
So the most important thing I tell kids is academics. Because without academics, you can't go to a certain high school you want to go to. You can't go to a certain college you want to go to. And you have to make sure that's the main portion. Sports are great. And not saying I'm a die-hard athletic fanatic, with baseball, basketball, football. And I feel you should definitely be disciplined in that area. But if you're not disciplined in the classroom, you can't go to the next level. And the thing is, everyone wants to go to the NBA, everyone wants to go to the NFL, but are you putting in the effort? Are you putting in the hard work? Are you putting in things that's going to help you get to that next level? And you can be the greatest player in the world. If you don't have the GPA to go to the school, they won't let you in anyways. So you have to make sure you're concentrating on your academics. I'll tell them it's be or better. If you be or better in every single subject, you're going to put yourself in a great situation where your parents don't have to pay a thing for you to go to school.
Right. So the first question I'm going to ask, since you mentioned that you were a girl dad, how important is the influence of, a man in the home, an active father?
Okay. Yeah. Well, my oldest child is my daughter. I had her first. She's 16 years old, and I had her at a young age. I was a teenager in my senior year of high school, and I grew up with my dad not being in the home for reasons, and my dad died at 16, so I made it my business to be around my child for as long as I can and have that relationship with my children. And with that, my daughter ended up saving my life. I mean, I was going down a rough road, and she just changed my every way of thinking. So I kind of pride myself on being a girl dad. I love my boys, but I can honestly express that my daughter played one of the biggest roles in my life.
So talk about growing up, how that was for you.
Well, I grew up in South Baltimore. Grew up like most kids. My dad ended up being incarcerated when I was 8 years old. So my mom raised us. I'm the third of seven, 6 boys and 1 girl, and we grew up and my mom believed in hard work and discipline. My dad did as well. So every day we pushed to better ourselves. It was quite competitive in our household, as far as in the classroom, on the field, off the field, and just in life. So growing up for me, it was tough, but it was also fun, and just having that family structure actually made things a little better.
So how do you show up differently for your boys?
I show up differently for my boys. I'm direct, and I make sure to let them know that I'm always going to be here. If you need anything, I'll always be there. Having 2 parents, but 1 parent not being there, it brought, over time, it makes you think and wonder, so that you don't want to keep on carrying those things over to the next generation. So for my boys, I wanted to make sure that I let them know that I was going to be there and they can count on me. And just like I could count on my dad, but more from a physical side and, not just the emotional side as well.
So did you have any major influences growing up?
Oh yeah, I had a lot of them. Most of them came through sports and also from just the neighborhood. From outside of my family, in my family first, I'm a shout them out. I had great uncles and aunts, and that was always there, and my grandparents as well. But I had coaches. I remember my first coach, Lawson. He used to hit me with his cane, the discipline. But it was, he had a different reason. He was teaching me life skills at the age of 6. Johnny Davis, who was the first coach to ever cut me. It was kind of funny because he was my dad's best friend. He cut me from all his basketball teams just to make me improve and get better. I had a coach, Mike Clay, as I got older. He changed my life, as far as helping me see 2 different routes. Not just being an athlete, but being more than an athlete and understanding that you can have a role in life beyond sports and become a great athlete and a great role model as well. And also, actually, my neighborhood, I'm so thankful for the guys that actually told me, dude, get off the corner and go in the house and do what you need to do. I mean, they played a pivotal role in my life, because I looked at some of my friends and trust me, they wasn't saying that to all my friends,
So how important is it for right now mentally, with everything going on, for them to have this outlet?
It's real important. I mean, when I came up, we had outside. I mean, and before the pandemic, outside really wasn't a thing for them, but now it's really not a thing. So, I mean, if they can get involved in some type of sport, mentorship, whatever the case may be, it's good, especially sports. That kind of build a lot of foundation for young males in the aspect of friends and discipline, and you get a lot out of sports that sometimes you can't get elsewhere. Some kids don't got a father, so that coach can give you that father figure and the discipline that you need. So I think it's very important.
All of that is amazing. I have a question. So you work with girls from 2nd grade to 12th grade.
And boys.
Mm-hmm. That is a huge span. Mm-hmm. You're watching 2nd grade babies turn into women and men. Okay. So how does that look? I'll say emotionally. How does that, were you able to see a big change in them when you had to switch your platform from in-person to virtual? Did you see a decline in your program? And it's not because that you didn't offer a virtual platform, but just because it's not what they are used to.
Yeah, so it is a big difference between working with 2nd graders to high school students. But being able to see their progression over the years is so rewarding. And so now we have students that have been with us since 5th grade that are now in college. So that is super exciting, just to see their growth and progression, and just to watch the kids grow over the months, and just in this last year with the pandemic has been amazing. I'm always amazed at how they become into their own. They're learning their own identity. They are able to express themselves. It's amazing. But yeah, with the pandemic, we didn't stop programming. We hit the ground running in March 2020 with virtual programming because there was still a need that needed to be fulfilled. Kids still needed us. Parents needed us even more to try to give their children some enrichment and some opportunities to connect outside of the classroom and to talk about their feelings. And then last year also, it was a dual pandemic, right? We had lots of racial injustices, lots of social injustices on top of coronavirus. And so we met the students where they were. They wanted to talk about it. So we created programming around, social justice, using music and the arts to and creative writing techniques for them to share how they were feeling and to express themselves. So we worked that into programming. With working with children in general, you just have to show up as your true and authentic self, because kids can smell you a mile away if you're being phony. And just like adults, nobody wants to be around fake people, right? They want you to be honest and vulnerable with them. They want you to share with them and learn from them. And I think that's probably one of the most rewarding parts of, running this organization, is being able to learn from my students and have them pour into me just as much as I pour into them. And now, in year 7, I'm not as hands-on with programming and providing that direct line of support to students, like first line. And, you know, I've had to step back just to run the business more. So anytime that I do get to jump in and be hands-on with the kids, it truly like warms my heart. But in general, you really just have to focus on building a strong relationship with them. And that's built on trust. It's the same thing when you're courting or dating or building relationships with family. It's the same thing with kids. Like, you just show up as your true self and you open up to them and you share with them. You can't expect for children to trust you and to share with you without you sharing with them and being open. And so I think that is probably like the biggest thing. Making sure that you establish strong relationships with your students and they trust you, and having fun and being creative and not being scared to have a good time. And yeah, that's probably what kept our virtual programming going. It's like we just kept it fresh and, you know, always pumping in music and hearing and listening to them and getting feedback from the students about what they wanted. Yeah.
So in doing your work, have you, well, I'll go back. At Letters Work right now, we're trying to get the kids to own their story and use their own voice. Have you ever had a child come to you want to talk about like a trauma or something that came to them? Because it seems like you've created a safe space and built relationships with these children.
So we've actually had a young girl come to us who was struggling with her sexual identity. And because we have created such a safe space and open space for sharing, she was comfortable with sharing with me, myself, program staff, and the other girls in the program. But I mean, you have to listen. You have to listen because obviously she felt the need to share and to be open, and she wanted some guidance. But in this particular instance, she was looking for an advocate because she wasn't sure how to have the conversation with her mother. She wanted to identify as a male, and her mother struggled with letting her daughter identify as a boy. So we had some harsh conversations, some hard conversations, real deep, trying to understand, you know, what made her feel like she identified as male more than she did female. And then we talked through ways that she could constructively have that conversation with her mom. And for us, she asked if we could step in to kind of mediate the conversation, which was a first for me and some members on our team. But again, we always advocate for the child and do what we can to make those things a little easier. So we all had a group conversation about it. Mom was not happy, but then we just referred them to, you know, more professionals that were able to provide support in the area, because it's not our specialty at all.
Right. But I like that he was safe enough. I felt safe enough to come to you, because I think when we're in a mentoring role, that's important to create trust.
Yep.
So talk to your younger self, like the 16-year-old version of you, everything that you know now. What advice would you give?
Ooh-wee. Talking to the 16-year-old version of myself would be to focus more on being disciplined, right? When I'm talking about being disciplined, you know, at 16 years old, you start feeling yourself a little bit. You got the girls a little distraction over here. You got some video games that are a distraction. It would be more to tell myself to be more focused on, make sure I continue to get better at going to the weight room, continue to get better to go running, and using every single second of my time to make sure it's working on me and not giving my time to everyone else.
So talk about the pressures of today's society with the youth. They have social media. We didn't have all this access in the palm of our hands, and just try how they can keep their eyes on the prize.
Oh wait, man! Social media has become the detriment of our community. Whether it's kids with sports, they think it gets instant gratification, right? And we know with everything that you're trying to develop and grow on, it takes constant commitment, no matter what it is. Because everyone, social media make like a microwave success. There's no such thing. So in order for you to be the best version of yourself, you have to be committed to what you're going to do. And social media is just saying, listen, if you do this one day, you're going to be a millionaire. It doesn't happen that way. It takes a lot of time, and it kind of puts you in a space where you have to make sure you're doing things the right way.
So you spoke a little bit about being a teen dad. You were 19. We've actually had an episode about teenage parenting. So what advice would you give both for somebody in that situation and to deter a kid from taking that same path?
What I would deter somebody to taking that path is, and being completely honest, if you're not ready to have a kid, don't have sex, right? Use abstinence. However, we know that's not always the way that we thought when we was 18, 19 years old. Use a condom, right? You know, you have to use that all the time unless you're disciplined enough to not do it. Becoming a teenage dad or a mother is very difficult because your life is no longer your life. So you're gonna miss out on some moments that you should experience because you're still a child. We all think we're grown when we get to high school. We're 18, 19 years old, but you're not grown because our mind isn't even fully developed. So how can we help our children at such a young age be developed and be better young men and young women if we're not developed ourselves? And I just tell people, I say, you know what? The 19-year-old version of me, my oldest daughter had a different version than the 27-year-old version of my youngest daughter, because you become a better person, a better man, or a young lady, and your thought process is different. Plus, your pockets are a lot different too. Hopefully, you know, because you can't support a child at 19 years old. You know, because you have to depend on other people to help you guide and push that child in the right direction. When you become in your late 20s and your 30s and maybe in 40s, that child tends to have a more stable environment and tends to have a better chance or a more successful rate. Again, my oldest daughter, you know, she's done very well. She got a Division I scholarship, but there's a lot of trials and tribulations. There's a lot of back and forth stuff where, you know, parents aren't together. And then again, another thing is, when you have a kid that young, is that the person that you want to be with for the rest of your life? Right? So if you have one doubt in your mind, you want to be that person for the rest of your life at 19 years old, you shouldn't have a kid with that person at all. Because it just puts you in a situation where you're always going to be climbing uphill, fighting battles you shouldn't be battling. And you have different philosophies. And a lot of times at 19, you guys grow in two separate directions in your life. So to have a kid as a teenager, I mean, it shouldn't even be a discussion. However, I know it happens, and it just throws us off. It doesn't set us back all the way. It just throws us off track for where we need to be at right away. That's all.
Right. Now, some parents don't have the privilege to stay home. So when you're working with youth in a school, you're probably seeing them more often than parents. So what are some things that you're seeing with the children that you can tap a parent and say, you need to be looking out for this?
Oh man, you can tap a parent when you smell. If your kid smells like they've been using substances, you know, illegal substances. They're not getting enough sleep. They might be a little bit too hyper at times. They're not coming to class on time, or they're not being productive members in school. So there's certain things you can have conversations with parents if they're ready to receive it. All parents aren't ready to receive what some adults have to say about their children. Because when I grew up, it was a village, so our parents took whatever people said. Nowadays, oh, it's my child. You can't talk to my child a certain type of way. I'm saying, but we're all here trying to help your child. No one's here to hurt your child.
So everything that you learned and everything that you experienced, you've now started your own organization and programming. So tell us a little about that.
Well, I started an organization that's called No All Season. Is dedicated to athletes in particular, but all kids all around. But what it does is it provides student athletes with the resources that they can use both on the field and off the field. The main thing is letting them see that you can be you can be a great athlete, but it's life beyond sports, and that's my goal, and that's what I'm trying to do. My mission is to teach guys and girls actually, that there's life beyond sports and guide them in the right direction towards that.
So some of the parents watching might want to know, I'll use myself as an example. My son, he's been playing football since he's 5 years old, and now he's in high school. He had a rough 9th grade year. He's experienced a lot of death, just depression, just not being around his friends. How can you turn that around?
Well, we take them in and we make it a home for them. We make it a second home for them. We take a kid like that who struggled as a 9th grader, help them see that you can keep on reaching your full potential beyond that. We'll backtrack on those things, figure out the places that you may have some shortcomings in, and help them get through that. No matter if it's teaching, it's coaching. For his situation, it'll be counseling also, not just academic counseling, but life counseling. Just being a resource for them and grow them all the way through. Our group is a family, so we don't think of it as a kid coming for a small time period and then when you're done with them, you're out. I see that with so many coaches, whereas though they care more about them than the actual athlete. I'm gonna be that person that's gonna call your kid at midnight just to see if he's okay, if he needs me. I'm gonna make sure that he's in the house. I'm gonna make sure that he's waking up on time, managing time as best as he can. I'm gonna make sure that he's doing his homework and having that effective relationship, not only with his family, with his coaches, with his teachers, and just socially, socially in life. I mean, the way I think of it is that, like I said, I'm a girl dad. That young man could be my next son-in-law. So I want to prep him for the best way I can, so that if and when that time comes and he's someone's husband, he's the best husband or dad that he can be. No All Season, we're opening up an academy called No All Season Academy, and it deals with just uncovering everything, the whole student athlete. In the state of Maryland, Baltimore especially, we have so many student athletes that when we talk about balance, they have one thing but they're missing another, whether it's grades versus skill, or it's skill versus time. We're developing that whole athlete, and that's what our program is based on. We're basing it 6th grade through 12th, whereas those kids can come in and they buy into a process, they buy into a path that we're trying to give them, and it's the elite path, where they want to get to as far as being collegiate athletes, and we provide them with all those resources to help them become a whole athlete. So many times I see right now coaches, different guys outside of their teams, only preaching on what they can get out of the athlete, instead of understanding that these athletes need to get everything out of all the resources and us. They're the talent. And that's what kind of where we forget. I mean, a lot of people forget that they're the talent. It's us. We're here just to enhance the talent. And I see that that's a big problem in today's world right now, especially with some of the coaches, trainers, and everyone in our area. So that's what we're trying to bring out at No All Season Academy. Create that whole athlete, both on and off the field, so that one day they're our leaders of tomorrow.
Right. And talk about how do you get the athletes you work with to trust you?
Oh, it's a buying process, but it's mainly honesty. Letting them know where you come from. Letting them know your background. Letting them understand that, yeah, we might be different. We might have two different paths, but we can all see it from the same perspective, and sometimes we can see it from a different perspective and still have the same respect for each other. And that plays a big role. Honesty and dedication. Actions speak louder than words. It's about actions. I can honestly say that I still talk to the first kid I ever coached, and that was 12 years ago, and we still have the same phone calls, and we can laugh, we can joke, we can cry, we can talk about some of the life's most difficult things, and the best things, and that relationships go a long way, but it all starts off with honesty and trust. If I can't trust you, I don't want to deal with you. So, and I take that with me when I talk to my players. I want them to trust me so that we can have a relationship long lasting.
I like that. How do you teach balance?
My toe. With balance, I got a motto called My Toe. I heard it before, and it worked well for me. It's called managing your time off, and it different ways of managing it. Whether or not is doing your homework. going to sleep. Sleep and peace means so much in the world today. It may be, just having time where you go to the weight room, or you're working out, or sometimes it's just being a kid, managing how you do those things, and also managing life. Having life in front of you is the best thing that you can have. I mean, because if you don't have life, you have death. So making the most of life and providing all those resources to life and exposing them to it, good and bad, it helps with balance. And over time they develop their own balance because they're their own unique person, and it's just my goal to bring it out of them.
Okay, so what's like the number one tip or just hack for life that you would give a teenage boy to propel them into the future?
Focus. The biggest thing, if I can ever go back, would be to honestly focus on your grades first, because it's actually student athlete. And in school, I was an athlete student. You know what I mean? So if you really can focus on your grades, everything else gonna come. I mean, females gonna come. They're gonna be on every level in life, whether it be high school, whether it be college, professional. They always gonna be there. But if you got a goal that you want to accomplish, you gotta put your mind on that goal. But school's first, because school's gonna look at your. I don't care how nice you are, but school's gonna look at your. They gonna look at your grades. So if you got the grades, it only makes it easier to get to college.
I heard you say that you're in year 7 with the B org. Just talk to somebody that's watching that maybe doesn't want to do like college as the next step, and they want to be a girl boss. What would you say?
Yeah, I get this all the time. So in year 1, I had no idea that I was going to be this girl boss, executive director. It was just not who I was at the time. So I've grown into this role a lot. And my interns that come to us all the time, I'm like, okay, well, what's your career goals? What do you want to be? Oh, I just want to be in charge. I want to be a boss. Oh, okay, so what does that look like? And one thing that's important to know is, in order to be a good manager, supervisor, boss, executive, you have to first be a good employee, right? And so I learned how to be a great supervisor from having shitty bosses or horrible supervisors, because I know what it's like on the receiving end, or not to be in management. So I know what I don't want to do to my team. So you have to be a good employee, and you have to be willing to learn and listen and know all aspects of business and working with people before you can be a boss, because you can know all of the technical stuff that you want, right? You can have all of the skills and whatever, but if you don't have people skills or relationship skills, then you aren't going to get really far, because this work involves people. And so you have to humble yourself to be able to cater to and to serve people. That's what it's all about at the end of the day, is serving people. It's not about, dictating, right? It's not about slamming the gavel down and putting your foot down. Like, people come with their own emotions. They come with their own real life issues. And to not acknowledge people as people first and just focus on work, just discredits the entire being of the business, right? Like, you can't discredit people and not acknowledge them as humans first, and acknowledge their truths and acknowledge their walks and who they are, before trying to be successful in work. It just doesn't work out that way.
Right. So you talked about waking up, loving what you do. You're living out your passion, which I also believe is your purpose. So what does that look like for you? I know for me, I say, if I get one child to seek therapy, I feel like I'm winning. So what does that look like for you?
For me, it's waking up every day and putting programs in place that give students opportunities. It's all about creating opportunities, creating space for them to be successful, creating space for them to just dream a little bit bigger, believe in themselves a little bit more, stretch their imagination, stretch the reach of things that they thought were impossible to achieve. But really just giving young people exposure to, different walks of life and different cultures and different careers, and broadening their horizons, and building them up to let them know, like, you are amazing people. Like, you have amazing God-given talent, and getting them to just dive a little deeper into that, to tap some of that untapped potential.
I love that. Okay, so you're a girl dad, so talk about the importance of, the black father in general, and also pouring into your daughters.
Oh man, I tell people the black father in general, just being able to give our children things that we didn't have growing up, or other children didn't have. My oldest daughter actually moved with me from the age of 9. She moved from Narragansett Falls, New York. She's going to fail 4th grade, wasn't doing well academically, and I went home. She's going to have an IEP meeting, so we're in an IEP, and I was like, not my daughter. So I took it upon myself to go get my daughter so she can move me to Maryland. I said, I'm going to give her the best life possible. So my daughter moved with me at 9 years old. I think our first school she went to was Mount Royal. And at that time I was coaching girls basketball at Southwestern. She actually started practicing with high school basketball girls in 5th grade. She's actually even overweight for a little. She's like 200 pounds in 5th grade. We got her down to 150 pounds. Then she even lost more weight, and she said she wanted to really play basketball for real. I had a background in it. I knew it would take to get her to the next level, and by the time she got to middle school, she was a pretty good athlete. And in 8th grade, she had her first Division I scholarship offer in that whole time frame. So she got she's very talented. We got her mind together. Her lowest grade was a B. So I tell people, it's a lot of times it's the environment and the structures you give kids and disciplines you give kids to help them become more successful, and you be able to push them. So she's definitely thrived. And she wear ups and downs that she didn't have the support she needed from her mother. However, I know we had this conversation. She's like, my dad was always tough on me, but she always knew I had the best intention to make her the best person possible. So I would say as a younger parent growing up, and I say it all the time. I say, even though I'm a girl dad, your first daughter's like the test dummy, So you're still learning through the process. And I would say I have my second daughter now is 27. She plays basketball, and there's a little more balance between her home, her life. She's a little more stable, and there's certain times where you learn not to push as much. And she, like I said, I tell most people, say she has me as a man, where my oldest daughter had me as a boy trying to figure things out. So, and unfortunately, even though my daughter got a Division I scholarship, there was things we had to go through together. We grew up together. For my oldest daughter, I didn't have to grow up with her. I just knew who I was as a person, what I actually did, and how I could help influence their lives. And they both have a great life. They both have a lot of things. But for the most part, it's just when you mature, as you get older, your decision making, your process becomes better to guide and to direct and to give them what they actually need. But I tell you, I have a great time. I've learned a lot from my oldest. She's taught me how to be more patient. And my second daughter, she just taught me how to love more. So, but being a girl, that now coach both of them in basketball. My oldest, let's say, was real tough on her. My youngest ones is more of a, hey, you gotta do it this way. If you want to do it, let's do it. But you gotta do it the right way.
Right. Talk about the most difficult conversation you've had, either with any of the kids that you work with on a daily basis or your own children, and how you faced it.
I think the most difficult conversation I had with my oldest daughter was when she went home for the summertime and she told me that she liked girls. I think it came up, it was like, when you go to high school, make sure you're not doing no boys. They want one thing in high school and everything else. You go in 9th grade, just be aware of things. She's like, boys? I said, what you mean? I said, oh, so you don't like boys? She's like, oh, I don't know what I like. I said, what do you mean you don't know what you like? I said, you either do or you don't. She's like, well, that I like girls. I said, okay. I said, well, let's have a conversation about it. And then talking about what's right. It took me some time to adapt to it and learn how to love her in that way. So once you get used to it, okay, you're still my daughter. So if you open, let's talk about it. So I just tell you, even to this day, just talk. You can talk about anything, because at the end of the day, I want to help guide you to wherever you need to go and help you make the best decisions possible for yourself. And we may not approve all your relationships. We're just gonna give you guidance because we have the experience of going through certain things to help you become better, so you don't fall into the same trap.
Right. So what's like the most difficult situation you had to handle with one of your children, either your children or one of the kids that you've coached?
One of the most difficult situations is that I had a kid at one point. He was gonna kill others and himself. At one point, and it was tough. I mean, I thank God that he actually came and told me. He was going through some depression, having some tough times in his life, and he had the whole world. He had the whole world in front of him. I mean, he was a great athlete. A lot of things from the outside, you would have thought this was a perfect kid, but he had some things going on. It was a time when it was a deep time for us, but we worked on it. We talked about it. We coped it, and we coped. Found different coping strategies, and not only did we save his life, we saved other people's lives, at that time, and we got him the help that he needed, and he's striving today. He's a father too.
That's amazing. So out of everything that you could have did, why did you choose to give back to the youth?
Because somebody gave to me. It's simple. Having so many trials and tribulations in one's life. I'm 34, so you can only imagine how many things that we go through on a day-to-day basis. It took people in my world, whether it was family, friends, to do things for me and give me resources, and all I wanted to do was give that back to someone else, because you'll never know what a person's going through or what a person have in life, but you can always be a resource to someone, even if it's just saying hello or just telling the person you love them and you care about them. And that's what I pride myself in, and that's what made me want to give back.
So the premise of my organization is to break generational curses and to just talk to our teenage self. Mm-hmm. So what would you tell your 16-year-old self?
16-year-old self, be patient. It was a time when I was younger, it seemed like I was in a rush to do everything, and a rush to get to where I was trying to go, whether it was just trying to get out of the hood, or be a super athlete, or just finish school. It was, if I can talk to myself, being patient would change my life in so many different ways. To help me make better decisions. It'll help me understand life around me, and I think that it would have helped me a lot better as a kid.
And also speak to the kid that doesn't think college is the path they want to choose.
Oh, then you can get a trade. You be like me, electrician, plumber, HVAC. I mean, college is not the end all be all. So you do have trades, and you got trades that make $100,000. You know what I mean? So it's not just chump change. It's actually good. Things you can do, side work. You can start businesses. So, the trade route is good, I think, if you don't want to go to college. I'm in the trade myself. Like I said, I'm an electrician. I got HVAC buddies, plumbing buddies. So, I think if school's not it, I think a trade is good.
So what's your final takeaway for the teens watching, young adults watching? What's your final word?
My final word: don't be afraid to do the work, right? And that's in anything, not just in business, but in life. Like, success is attainable. Whatever you think success is, it is attainable, but you cannot be afraid to do the work. That's probably my biggest takeaway.
Okay, so out of everything that you could have chosen to do with your life, why did you decide to work with the youth?
Because I really want to give back to someone the information and knowledge that I had. If I feel like if I can go through the basketball route to get a Division I scholarship, and kids want to be go that route, I know the pathway to take to help you become successful at that area. Whether it's football, it's the same thing. Whether it's baseball, it's the same thing. It's a certain process that you have to make sure you follow to get to that grade. Whether it's the grades, the academics, the discipline, and just being able to show them that it can be done. People say it's 2% of females get a Division I scholarship, 1.9% of males get a Division I scholarship. But so it's very slim to none that you can have a chance to go play football, basketball, or baseball for free in college. However, if I can stand in front of you and tell you how I did it, there's definitely a possibility for you to do it as well.
So what's your final takeaway for the child that's watching this right now?
The final takeaway is just make sure you stay focused on what you want to accomplish in life. Stay disciplined. Stay committed to the process, and make sure your goals are number one for you. Right? You don't let anyone deter you from it. If you want to be the next NFL superstar, NBA superstar, or just go to school and become a successful individual, whether it's in business, engineering, architecture, doctor, lawyer, make sure you put yourself first. Listen to your parents because they're there to help you. And if you don't have it, make sure you put yourself in front of the right people that already have the experience for it so they can help you get to where you want to get to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and for both sides of your interview that you did today, what's your final takeaway?
I like the conversation that you're building to have between, like you said, bridging the gap between generations. Like I said, more positive black male figures, for fathers as well as teen boys. I think it's definitely needed. I think it's a lot out here now, but it could be more. I guess just tapping into the black teens more than anything to just get them to understand, you got people here. You can talk to certain people. I know it's difficult, but you can. But all in all, I think, like you said, what you got going on right now is pretty good.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm Tonee Lawson, the founder and executive director of the B.org. You can find us on social media at the B.org. That's THEBEORG on Instagram and Facebook, or our website, which is www.theborg.com. You can find me on social media at Tonee Law, Tonee with 2 E's. And then for anybody who's a parent, caregiver, sister, whoever, who may want their child to be a part of our programming, it's best to sign up for our newsletter or to follow us on social media. Generally, our programming is free or low cost due to, lots of supporters, donations, and grants from foundations and companies. So yeah, we try to offer everything at free or a very, very reduced cost. But stay tuned to social media. That's where we announce all of our openings and registrations and all that good stuff.
So what is your final takeaway for any child that is watching?
I would say to them, my final takeaway is be patient, put God first, and understand that whatever's in front of you, you can get through, and understand that someone's always out there to help you out, even at your worst time. Someone is out there to help you out, and at some point be helpful to others. It's always a give back to everything.
I like that. How can you be reached?
You can reach me several different ways. You can reach me on social media at New All Season. That's our page on Facebook, New All Season Elite. On Instagram, Coach J at Coach J JAY34 on Twitter, as well as New All Season MD. That's on Twitter as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.